Hi, everybody. This is April 30th, 2026, and we are at day 2096 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, taken to the basement room downstairs in the same building where his life was taken. His body was stolen. His remains were then trafficked to Juarez, Mexico for disposal. And we have thousands and thousands of cameras, and nobody could find anything with all those cameras. So there's so much news going on that I just want to thank everybody for your patience. I know it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning again, but there's just no time to sleep. We are busy working, um, filing, and reporting all the news to you because, of course, if our law enforcement and our intelligence databases are infiltrated by the cartel, and they are controlling federal cases and they're controlling even state cases, then I think that everyone needs to know that. Everyone needs to know that. And this is what they did to Richard is an act of war. Absolutely. And so we are reporting this for so that we can abs- drive drive the well, I guess it's all in God's hands to get our son's remains back, right? And that is what we want. We want our son's remains back from Juarez. And can we tell you that we know how that's all going to happen? Um, no, but we have faith that the more truth that we reveal, the more that uh, Maru Campos is under scrutiny, and she is under heavy scrutiny. I think they're gonna remove her, and she really is. I mean, there is a good chance, and saying that means a lot because these people haven't faced accountability. Probably in generations. But there is a very, very good chance that she will face 40 years in prison for all of her criminalities. I was putting together a list of Maru's criminalities, and it's so overwhelming. And I want to share them with you, because it's so overwhelming, her list of criminal acts. She's absolutely a narco governor, and I am not calling her out alone. This is also Governor Abbott, right? The list of his criminal activities is also very, very long. And this is on both sides of the border, and the people on both sides of the border um, really have been exploited. We've been exploited. And so this is why we have to report on this every day in order to demand accountability. And we can drive that. We can absolutely drive that. The Bible tells us so, right? That we need to establish justice and we need to drive it to happen. And even General Sean Bernabe, as evil as he is, he recognized that the people are the ones that drive justice, not the courts, not the lawyers, not the the AUSAs and the DAs. It's the people. It's the demand of the people. And so, that's why so much money is spent by these faux um, groups that are supposed to, cheerlead or drive the popular narrative or the narrative that um, the the philanthropists, the narco philanthropists want you to have. The false narrative about the Walmart mass shooting, the false narrative about our son's case, the false narrative about border security, right? We want border security, and at the same time, they're giving the cartel, the criminals, the criminal traffickers, access to federal cases, access to databases, and access to uh, taxable taxpayer funds, right? When they are infiltrated in the military, being deployed to Qatar where they want to go to do more damage. That's all at taxpayer expenses. And you see what Mario Campos, one of the biggest things is she's like the biggest thief. She has sticky fingers, y'all. She has such sticky fingers. That's why I show her in pictures with money. I think every picture I put up, I should show her with money coming out of every pocket and everything because she's absolutely Miss Sticky Fingers. With taking well, you call it embezzlement, right? You call it embezzlement. Yeah, so she is just uh up to no good. And the same thing with Governor Abbott, okay? Governor Abbott also. It would be very interesting to see what's in that West Star Bank, right? It would be very interesting to know their unexplained wealth. Because Maru has a multi-million dollar home. It's like, really? How can you afford that on the job that you have? It doesn't seem like you could really afford that. But so I'll leave that up to the investigators. So what is happening today is absolutely jaw-dropping. So New York courts indicted Ruben Rocha Moya. He is the governor of Sinaloa, okay? This is the home turf of El Mayo Zambada, Ismael El Mayo Zambada. And we share something in common with El Mayo because his lawyer is Ray Velarde. Of course, he has another lawyer. I mean, he's a billionaire. So, of course, he has another lawyer, Perez, right? Attorney Perez. But he also has Ray Velarde. And Ray Velarde was sent to Richard as counterintelligence. There's no other way to explain it. Because Richard was a whistleblower and they wanted to know what Richard knew and who Richard told. And very shortly after that, Richard lost his life, right? Had his life taken from him. And so anything to do with El Mayo is very interesting to us because it connects to Richard. Whether people, want to make fun of that or not, that, oh, another thing that's connected to Richard. Everything is connected to Richard, y'all. Everything is connected to Richard's whistleblowing reports because he exposed this whole Iran-Contra pipeline that was really started with the brain power of Jeffrey Epstein, with Khashoggi, right? With Khashoggi during the 80s and in the early 90s, because they weren't held accountable in the early 90s. Jeffrey Epstein bought Zorro Ranch, and of course he bought a Little St. James, and he made a pipeline and a half. He evolved the Iran Contra. Um, he had made these connections with the cartel and he used them and he expanded on them. And so Richard, he exposed this. And of course, the military infiltration, because of course, Jeffrey Epstein infiltrated, right? He infiltrated. He was everything to all the people. He was Mossad, he was NSA, he was CIA, he was everything to anybody. And of course, then he wanted his cartel operatives to also be everything to everybody, be in the military, be in the AUSA's office, be in the DA's office, be in the police office, be wherever. I want you everywhere, even in the churches, right? They even infiltrated the churches and the charities. They even infiltrated the charities. And of course, the media. They infiltrated the media. And this was, from the early 90s. I mean, it continued from the 80s. Um, because it never ended. And of course, that pipeline, Chicago, because Beto O'Rourke's family bought the ranch right beside Zorro Ranch with the uh, family connections that they have to Chicago. That's Obama, that's Oprah, that's the Pritzkers. And we know through the files, the Jeffrey Epstein files that were released, that these people had a real liking to Santa Fe, right? And Jeffrey Epstein had his laboratory in Santa Fe, and they liked the art market in Santa Fe, and the laboratory that Jeffrey Epstein had included the scientists um, from the oh gosh, Los Alamos scientists, right? That now are like missing or dead or whatever. That's all part of that. That's where this new shooter, is clearly seen as part of this whole network because his father and him, they were part of this network with Texas Tribune and, because of course, um, um, Beto O'Rourke's father-in-law, Bill Sanders, is with um, Woody Hunt and Paul Foster and Alejandro de la Vega, these billionaires. And of course, Obama's with billionaires, of course. Pritzkers are with billionaires, of course they are. This is their little elite group. Um, and so it connects everything together, the scientists with whatever they were doing. They're the ones that have this money to spare. I don't think the normal American or Mexican family has money to spare for purchasing laboratories and trying to do experiments to figure out eternal life and how to monetize it and all the things that Jeffrey Epstein was doing. Um, and of course, they didn't want to use their own money, so they use government contracts, and that's where a lot of the fraud comes with the government contracts. And they use government bricks and mortar and services. The restricted airspace over White Sands Missile Range made Zorro Ranch. I mean, you could just look at a map and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, she's so right." Um, the restricted airspace flies right into Zorro Ranch. And Richard, so everything connects to Richard because he pulled on that string. He absolutely reported on the Walmart mass shooting, the military part of the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting. We know that the crime scene was staged. That's not us saying it, that is the evidence saying it. And being confirmed by JT, who was the lead DPS Texas Ranger on the case, who confirmed that the crime scene was staged. And we know because of Jaime Esparza, which I really want to talk about today. I just don't like these people at all. The Jaime Esparzas, David Guadaramas, the Ray Velardes, they're just, they are like the root of the problem. They are just so, so evil. They are so evil. And I hope, yeah, I hope that they face the consequences for their evil. I really do. They've hurt so many people, and I've put the picture on. I can't even look at the picture for long because it just, ugh, you just want to throw up. They're just so evil. And of course, Jaime Esparza was right there in the middle of everything as the DA and then as the AUSA, so the federal prosecutor. So he was state prosecutor for the for the 34th Judicial District, and then he was for the Western District, the prosecutor, the federal prosecutor. And talk about tampering, talking about obstruction. The evidence is clear that these people are operatives for the cartel. There's no other explanation for all the things that they do except for that they're operatives for the cartel, that they've taken money from the cartel. It has to be. It has to be. Now, do I have access to their bank accounts? No. But, why are they not prosecuting? Why is there, so much cartel activity? Why are they chumming up to the likes of Ray Velarde? Um, why didn't they tell us about the Mayellas, being the family with Patrick Cruces? Why didn't they tell us about Patrick Cruces and his disabilities, the autism, clear autism, and other mental health issues that they never tested, right? Why didn't they absolutely scream out when Maru Campos made the treasonous treaty with Governor Abbott? These Jaime Esparza, David Guadarrama, and Ray Velarde, they are just absolutely aiding and abetting terroristic organizations. That's what they're doing. And the evidence just absolutely confirms it over and over and over again. It's not me saying it. I don't want to say it. I don't want them to be aiding and abetting terroristic organizations. I want them to be decent judges, decent lawyers, decent prosecutors. But no, they chose a different way. They didn't choose, and God, I don't know. Do they just shake in their boots at the thought of God? I, they better, they better. God is no buttercup. They think God is a buttercup, that he's a lightweight, that they can do what they want, this kind of evil that they've done, and aid and abet cartel activities and the cartels that are absolutely la Diabla, CJNG La Diabla, Gabriella eating flesh, all the drugs, all the weapons, all the children, 500,000 children disappearing at strip joints and vacant lots. Uh, you know, uh, it is just, they've lost their way, these evil people, to be challenging God the way they have, you know, a sacrilege at the crematorium, uh, Plenitude Crematorium, over 400 uh, stacked bodies that they gave fake ashes for, but not for all of them, because some of them are cartel victims that were tortured because the pictures absolutely indicate and confirm that these people needed a good autopsy because they looked like they had been tortured, right? Organ harvested. Um, so this is the likes of Jaime Esparza. On in Congress, there was a congressman that read the different methods of abortion, and I was sent that, and um, to explain to people what it is, the level of evil that it is. And this is really my hope for tonight, is to really stress how evil what these people do. It is just so evil when your child trafficking, when you're child sexual exploitation, when you're defending the likes of Lilani Hart, absolute deceivers, deception like on steroids, over and over and over again. And what this has done is we've had to go through it all, and find out what the motives are. What is the reality behind all of this deception? And of course, it is the big money of cartel activities, right? The big money of cartel activities, with the Mormon faction element, because they have this dual citizen, they have this double agent element to them, like Alejandra de la Vega, with her dual agent status, being on both administrations, the administration for the Texas governor and the administration for the Chihuahuan governor. And playing all sides again, taking a page out of the book of Jeffrey Epstein, and being, everything to everybody. But then time runs out, and there's consequences, and you see Cesar Haragi Moreno, having to resign. And now, the newspapers are saying, I hope he protects himself, because he's made a lot of promises, a lot of money from different cartel groups. And now that he's not in his position, how is he going to fulfill the deal, his side of the deal, right? To obstruct and to stop investigations from going forward. That's how, absolutely corrupt they are. And with Governor Abbott and Maru Campos, with their, people are charging them with treason left and right. This is not me at all. This is the Mexican, it's screaming from the Mexican Senate. So, you know, uh, the corruption is there, plain to see. We don't have to um, explain it anymore, right? That this corruption is there, and it's moving forward. And now it's moving to Sinaloa, explaining the whole capture of El Mayo. That's what this is all about, okay? So, of course, the New York is indicting for, the drug and the human trafficking, or whatever that's on there, the weapon trafficking maybe. I don't know. I have to look at it again. I've read so much stuff today, but I know it's for trafficking. So I think especially drugs, to bring in these very poisonous drugs into, uh, and do so much harm in the United States and in Mexico. And but the New York, their jurisdiction is to charge the Sinaloa governor, Ruben Rocha Moya, right? Think about those names. Oh my gosh, I can't, Willie Moya and Belen Rocha, and, it's all the same names. Um, and so now we're learning, and we have this already for a long time, that it was Ruben Rocha that El Mayo was going to go meet. Okay, so that tells you one thing right there, that El Mayo somewhat trusted um, Rocha, And so, Roach is a governor, so he must be a narco governor if he has this level of trust with El Mayo, right? But when he got there, he was ambushed. He was knocked on the head and a bag put over his head, and he was put on a plane and he was flown to El Paso. He was betrayed. And it wasn't the legal way, it wasn't through like an extradition, indictment and extradition like should happen. No, this was a kidnapping. This was a kidnapping. And the question everybody is asking is, whose plane was it? Whose plane was it? Um, and, I think that Ruben Rocha knows. I think that Ruben Rocha is going to be able to answer that question. But now there's a tip for tat because I don't know if Scheinbaum is going to let um, Rocha be extradited to answer this indictment against him. So I don't know. It's very volatile. It's very interesting, and more information might come out from what they know. But we know that um, he was absolutely um, part of this whole thing. Oh, Jiminy Cricket. Yeah. So this whole thing, you want El Mayo to be arrested, right? You want him to be arrested, but you've got to do it legally. Otherwise, he has so much power in the court system, and he could be let go. So this is a problem with the way they did it, and whoever owns that plane, and I think that's coming out. So, the other thing we're watching, of course, is the Cement Lake. This is also called the Portland Reservoir, and now we received an update that it is like 17 to 20 feet lower. Wowzer, wowzer! They're working through the night, and it is huge, dear. I mean, it is really huge. So, keep your eye on Cement Pond, and also called Portland Reservoir. Please keep your eye on that because 20 feet drop in that water level. Yeah, that gets you thinking. That gets you thinking. So, I think that that is really, let me make sure, there's just so much to cover. Um, See if I can see here. And if you have any questions, thank you, Rob Barker. Ask your Lord and Savior Trump for help. He'll help you, I'm sure. You get none of from this way. Did you get what you voted for? Absolutely. Absolutely. 4 days after, well, the first day he took office, he designated these cartels as terroristic organizations. That was a huge, huge help legally. I mean, huge, huge help. And then 4 days later, he designated Richard in the line of duty. Okay, so on April 24th, 2024, the the evidence was so overwhelming that we have documented and filed that they were driven to designate Richard deceased without his remains. See, we don't have his remains. And then when President Trump came in, and we absolutely voted for him, I mean, we had 4 years that we gave Biden a chance, and we were very nice to Biden, and we filed and filed and filed and filed, and he's Sleepy Joe. He didn't do anything. So President Trump, it took him 4 days to designate Richard in the line of duty, which is a huge um, huge help in this whole case. And then from there, he has been extraditing cartels. He has been stopping the fuel theft. He has been, I mean, there's a lot of saboteurs out there, right? But he has been working very, very hard to close up that border and to extradite to get answers. The crematorium, Plenitude Crematorium, La Diabla, whose family was hired by Beto O'Rourke. Okay, La Diabla's family was hired by Beto O'Rourke. So we absolutely have gotten so much help from President Trump. And I can't lie to you, and I would call it out just like I've called out Abbott. Abbott is a heartbreaker, and I think Paxton is a heartbreaker too. I don't think they're doing well at all. I don't think they're doing well. But I know that Veronica Escobar and Beto O'Rourke and Obama um, really were up to no good. I mean, really, really were up to no good. So, yes, President Trump has helped tremendously. And of course, we did get the letters that's right behind my shoulders that we got not one, but two letters that explain what he's doing. And he's absolutely holding the cartel um, accountable. And now Scheinbaum doesn't want to extradite Ruben Rocha. And so we'll see how that all works out. Um, but Ruben Rocha has a lot of answers to what happened to El Moya. And I think that's what El Moya wants. He wants answers to who lent the plane. Who lent the plane? I think Ruben Rocha knows who lent the plane. And I think that uh, uh, Ruben Rocha Moya knows a lot more about the kidnapping of El Mayo and to the United States and then taken to the FBI building, like Connell Wetton absolutely knows about this disaster of an arrest, right? He absolutely knows how illegal the arrest was. Um, but there you have it. El Mayo was taken to the El Paso field office of the FBI. So, yeah, I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I, absolutely have measured what each president has done, each governor has done, but Trump has done the most. Absolutely has done the most. And the extradition request, the indictment of Ruben um, Rocha Moya is also indicative of how much President Trump is doing because he absolutely knows. And knowing that absolutely helps with our son's case. So thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow. Please share. And thank you, Anicia, for coming on. And please share all this information. And just think of those three bad actors, right? Those three operatives. Jaime Esparza, we have the pictures. I put them up with him, training Montoya. Now you know why Montoya is so bad. He was trained by Jaime Esparza and who really let everyone down. And then you have Ray Velarde. Up to no good. And of course, David Guadarrama, who absolutely lied about the Mayellas, absolutely lied and kept that information from the public. It's just so bad. So thank you so much. Please share, share, share. And I will be back on